On this episode, we work on the nicest dent side Ford Survivor I've ever seen. Brian the Car Guy's 1976 Ford Camper Special. Hey, my good friend Brian the Car Guy just picked up this 76 Ford F-250. All original, 69,000 miles on it. This thing's in original paint still. He hasn't even detailed it yet. Like, look, it's still covered in dust. It's had a camper in it since brand new, and it's been parked inside the whole time. So he just bought it. We're gonna just kind of go over it, get the brakes working again. It's got an exhaust leak we're gonna fix. But I just wanted to share this truck with you guys because it's amazing. There's not even a scratch in it, let alone a speck of rust. The interior here, this is all original and undetailed. Once we're finished up with it, it's going to go for detail, and it'd be really cool to see what it looks like all polished up. 69,000 miles. Wow, look at that. There's not a scratch in this thing. Look at this toolbox. It's never had anything put in it. Under the hood, it's got the original 390 that's never been touched. I don't even know if the air cleaner's ever been off this thing. Factory Holley carburetor on it. We're underneath the truck now. Look at these floorboards. This is just amazing. I've never seen a truck this solid before. All the factory paperwork, all the manuals. Oh yeah, look at that one there. Good cab. So Brian and Jim are pulling off the old extendable bumper. Brian still has the original bumper that came off this truck in 1976 when that bumper was put on. So they're swapping that out right now. The other thing that Brian's doing is he's removing the factory camper tie downs. We kind of had a little debate about this because Brian wants them nice and clean. He likes the clean look. I think that he should leave them because they are factory correct, and this is a true camper special. What are your thoughts on that? Let us know in the comments. While they've been doing that, I've been working on this exhaust manifold. It's got a leak. Classic Ford FE. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the Ford FE, their exhaust manifolds are notorious for leaking. And to top that all off, they're also prone for bolt snapping. So I've been fortunate enough that I've got all of them loose and out, except for this one. It's given me some grief. Thankfully, it's in a nice, easy to get to spot. So I'm gonna warm it up with the torch, put a little heat on it, and then So what you want to do when you're doing this is heat up the stud and the nut nice and red hot. And what that does is it expands, makes everything expand from the heat. And when it expands, the rust that's like seized the whole thing, as it expands, it breaks, which makes the nut come loose. Just like that. Okay, so now should be able to get in there. Should probably wear gloves. Come on. Go a little bit that way. This doesn't always work. Sometimes they break, but I really don't want this to break. I think I'm going to put a little more heat on it. Okay. Unfortunately, it did break, but it broke. There should be hopefully enough room that when we get this manifold off, there's enough of the stud that we can get on there with some vice grips and get it out. Hopefully. There was our leak right there. It's coming out of there and coming out of there. All right, now we can fight with the stud. See what I mean by there's a bunch hanging out, so we should be able to get some vice grips on there and hopefully get it loose. As long as it doesn't break in here, we're okay. When it breaks in there, that sucks. Meanwhile, Brian's taking more camper mounts off. And Jim's putting the new exhaust hanger on. I just gave it a try with these vice grips here, and it's not budging. Very happy. So I'm going to go ahead and heat it up once again with the torch. Except this time I'm going to heat the corner of the head. Yeah, look at that. Winning. And then just like that, it threads out with my fingers. Huzzah! So Brian is absolutely insane and wants to take this exhaust manifold off too, just because we have 2 gaskets coming, so might as well, right? So I've got all the bolts out except for that one and that one. They're giving me some grief. So I got the torch out again, and basically we're just gonna do the same process as the other one. Meanwhile, these guys back here got the bumper on. What an improvement. That looks so good. Success on this one. Second one is a success. Both manifolds are successfully off. Brian's going to take these over to blast it and sandblast them. Then we'll hit them with some cast iron high heat paint and put them back on tomorrow. All the camper tie downs are off. A bunch of other doodads are off. Jim took the mud flaps off. There used to be a little accessory mirror here. Brian took that off. So we're still waiting on the emergency brake cables. They'll be here tomorrow. The new exhaust gaskets will be here tomorrow. Brian will be back tomorrow. So we're going to continue on tomorrow. Uh, Morning. Welcome to day 2. Today we're going to finish up the exhaust. Should have all the parts to button that up today. And hopefully we got the right e-brake cables so we can get the emergency brake cables all finished up. And then road test this thing. We got to get it finished today because it's booked in at the detail shop for tomorrow morning. So let's do it. Here's the new gaskets we have. These are Remflex gaskets, which I really like to use with FEs because they're very thick and they're squishy. So they're nice. I've never had a problem with these guys leaking before. Brian sandblasted and painted all these with some cast iron high heat paint. We've got all new hardware, put them together. Anti-seize, so that the next guy will be happy when he has to take this apart. Some brass nuts to go on here. Brass nuts are nice because they don't seize. Sandblasted and painted this guy as well. It just goes on there like that for the little heat tube up to the air cleaner. What else do we got? Some brand new spark plugs here. Brian's just looking in the original owner's manual to see what the factory gap is for those. I just finished chasing all the holes in the cylinder head with a 3/8 tap here so that the bolts go in nice and good, using tap cut, thanks to my pal Rick. So with these Remflex gaskets, it's important to, you only tighten them to like 20-25 foot-pounds. So I just finished torquing those. Now we're gonna put the little heat shield back on. While I was finishing that up, Jim went ahead and gapped all the plugs to 45 thou, put them in. This side, the holes are all chased, so we're getting ready to put the last manifold on. We skipped out on the emergency brake cable because by 2:30, it was like 2:30 before we got the right one, and this has to be done today. So we're gonna do that another day after it's detailed. Guess what, YouTube audience? It's now Wednesday. Truck's back from detail, so we're gonna blast this apart and change that emergency brake cable. And then when we're done that, we've got a radio to put in, and we'll show you guys what it looks like all polished up. All right, e-brake is changed. It's working now. So we're gonna move on to the next step, which is inside the truck. We're gonna fix this. Someone put a Sanyo cassette player in this truck, and it doesn't even work. So I reached out to my friend Mark in Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, who's got a big collection of Ford truck parts. He's helped me out a lot with my bump side, and asked him if he had a radio. So he had a factory AM radio that he sent to us, so we're going to put that in. I'm just cleaning everything up before I put it in. I gave this a quick little scuff, and we're going to paint it black. Mask this off, obviously, and paint it black. And clean up all the knobs. It's amazing what a little bit of steel wool will do. That's what it did look like. That's what it looks like now. It's literally just giving it one of those. I just got the Sanyo stereo out, and I have to say it's super cool that whoever put it in, they wired it into the original Ford plugs. So when I go to put this one in, the pigtails are already here. Nothing was cut, nothing was sliced. The antenna's there. It should be a really simple, straightforward install. So thank you, whoever put that in. You did not hack this thing apart. So naturally, after cleaning this one up and painting it, well, actually Jim painted it, the truck had the original one still in it, but it's plastic and it's a little blemished in the corner there, so I think we're going to use this one because it's steel, or not steel, but hot metal or whatever you want to call it. Also, if you look at the casting number on there, D3, that means this is from a 73. Whereas this one is, where did I just see it there? D6. Which means this is from a 76. So this is the correct one for the truck, but you can really start to see the fall of the North American automobile as they switched from metal dash pieces to plastic dash pieces throughout the mid-70s. Wow, look at that. That's so much better. Can't get it to work. It just makes that sound. But that could be because we're inside the shop right now, and I know AM radio is sometimes pretty sensitive when you're under tunnels or bridges or inside a building, so maybe when it's outside it'll work. Okay, you guys finally ready to see this thing now that it's back from the detail shop? Check this out. Cool, well that concludes this video. What an amazing truck. Thank you so much, Brian, for giving us the opportunity to work on this truck and letting me share it with everybody. Make sure to check out the website, lgspeedcustoms.com. Also, check out Brian the Car Guy on both Facebook and Instagram. Brian he's got a pretty good collection of rare vehicles like this. I don't know where he finds them, but he gets them all the time. So make sure to go check him out. Also, thanks to the Cavalieros, and we'll see you on the next one. What a nice truck.